October 6, 1780. About 1,100 Loyalist troops, all Americans, under the command of British Major Patrick Ferguson, set up camp on the ridge atop Kings Mountain after several days of travel through the foothills from Gilberttown. On October 7th, about 3 in the afternoon, some 910 American Patriot troops arrived at the base of the mountain, having ridden all night through pouring rain. The Patriots began to deploy, with troops under Campbell, Shelby, Sevier, McDowell, and Winston moving to the southeast. Troops under Chronicle, Williams, Lacey, and Cleveland deployed to the northeast to surround the ridge. Colonel Campbell orders a contingent of hand-picked mounted horsemen to charge the main guard that was located halfway up the spur of the mountain. After dislodging the main guard, the group was to fall back, dismount, and rejoin the line of battle. With the main guard dislodged, Colonels Campbell and Shelby engaged the red-coated provincial regulars, Ferguson's best-trained troops. The regulars launched several bayonet charges against Campbell and Shelby's troops, retreating and then advancing again. They drive Campbell down the mountain, nearly running his men off. But they reformed to attack again. Shelby's men retreat twice and then advance. The fighting is intense, and casualties are high. Said Colonel Benjamin Sharp of Campbell's regiment, "During the heat of the action, I saw Colonel Campbell 3 times ride backwards and forwards in advance of our lines, and with his sword in his hand exclaimed, 'Boys, remember your liberty.'" The Patriot troops from the Carolinas and Georgia, under Williams, Cleveland, Lacey, and Chronicle, take position and begin to engage the Loyalists. Chronicle is hit as he leads his force, and Hambright takes over. Said James Collins of South Carolina, "We were soon in motion, every man throwing 4 or 5 balls in his mouth to prevent thirst, also to be in readiness to reload quick. The shot of the enemy soon began to pass over us like hail. We attempted to climb the hill, but were fiercely charged upon and forced back to our first position. We tried a second time, but met the same fate." This engagement continues for an hour, with advances and then retreats on both sides. Soon Campbell and Shelby gain the crest of the mountain, as the Loyalist troops are pushed back to the clearing. Ferguson charges against Cleveland, McDowell, Winston, and Hambright, who was wounded while ascending the hill. Lacey, Williams, and Sevier advance. The noise of rifles and the shouts of men intensify as the struggle continues along the ridge. According to Loyalist Captain Alexander Chesney, Kings Mountain from its height would have enabled us to oppose a superior force with advantage had it not been covered with wood, which sheltered the Americans and enabled them to fight in their favorite manner. Fighting in their favorite manner, advancing tree to tree with their rifles as though hunting game in the forest, the Patriots gain the advantage. Some Loyalists begin to wave white flags. Major Ferguson responds by riding among the lines and cutting them down. Ferguson attempts to rally the Loyalist militia by sounding his silver whistle as he rides among his forces. Continuing to advance, the Patriots surround the Loyalists, who find themselves caught in a crossfire. Confusion sets in with Loyalist militia running out of ammunition. Their position at the top of the mountain silhouettes them against the sky, making them an easy target. Their officers are down, but casualties are heavy. Ferguson and a group of officers attempt to break through the lines to escape, and Ferguson is shot off of his horse. Second in command, Dupeister, takes over, and soon has his troops surrender. As one Patriot rifleman described the surrender, Dupeister came forward with his sword hilt foremost. Campbell accosted him in these words, "I am happy to see you, sir." Dupeister, in answer, swore by his maker that he was not happy to see him under the present circumstances, at the same time delivered up his sword. Many of the American riflemen want to keep firing, taking revenge for earlier British atrocities. Colonels Campbell and Shelby stopped the slaughter only with difficulty. With the Patriots seizing control of the mountain, the British Loyalists are surrounded and made prisoners of war. A Loyalist foraging expedition sent out that morning returns to find the Americans in possession of the hill. A brief firefight ensues. Campbell orders Virginia and South Carolina troops to return fire, and many unarmed prisoners are hit in the crossfire. The Loyalist foraging expedition is driven off. In the aftermath of the battle, Major Ferguson is carried to the bottom of the hill and buried. The Americans remove and distribute items like his sash, sword, whistles, and pistols. Guards and pickets take position to the south, as the prisoners are kept under guard and both sides sleep on the battlefield. Major Benjamin Sharp described the situation in these words: "We had to encamp on the ground with the dead and wounded, and pass the night among groans and lamentations." The Americans have captured over 1,200 weapons from the Loyalists. Their supply wagons are burned as they cannot be taken with them. Many harsh words are exchanged between neighbors and relatives who find themselves on opposite sides. The next morning at 10 a.m., the American army marches away with prisoners, while Virginia troops remain to bury the dead. They reunite with the main army that evening. Reported one soldier, "Next morning, which was Sunday, the scene became really distressing. The wives and children of the poor Tories came in great numbers. Their husbands, fathers, and brothers lay dead in heaps, while others lay wounded or dying. A melancholy sight indeed." In 1 hour, the British had lost 1/3 of their southern army, and their great hopes for using the Carolina Loyalists to support them was ruined. The American army lost 28 killed and 62 wounded. The Loyalists lost 225 killed and 163 wounded. The survivors were taken prisoner and marched to Hillsborough, North Carolina, where they were exchanged for Patriot prisoners of war. Along the way, many escaped, but British power in the backcountry had been broken. Only 1 year later at Yorktown, Virginia, the British Army surrendered to General Washington.